that it has been mandatory from 1/4/2022 for the people, the aggregate turnover whose turnover is more than 20 crore and above, which has been mandatory. And in this context, I welcome each and every taxpayer who have given a overwhelming response to this particular webinar. And now I request first DP Nagendra Kumar, the CBSE member, to give inaugural address. And you are all aware Nagendra Kumar served as the principal CC in CBSE Bangalore earlier before moving to CBSE as a member. And sir has worked very much in drafting the GST law, and he was a eloquent speaker, and now he's into the policy section and guiding the CBSE throughout India and also the state officers. And I request DP Nagendra Kumar sir to give an inaugural address, and I welcome all the CBSE officers, principal CC Ranjan Jha madam and his team, and all senior officers of CBSE and all senior officers of the CTD, and all taxpayers. I welcome to this webinar. And over to Mr. Nagendra Kumar sir.
Thank you, Mr. Murali Krishna. Good morning, everyone who have taken their valuable time on a Saturday to be a part of this knowledge sharing session on e-invoicing. My esteemed colleague, Ms. Ranjana Jha, the Principal Chief Commissioner, Bengaluru Central Tax Zone, Ms. Shika, Commissioner, Commercial Tax, Government of Karnataka, Mr. P.V. Bhatt, the Technical Director, NIC Karnataka, and all of the senior officers of both Central Tax and the State Tax and officers of NIC who are here present today to address the concerns of the taxpayers on this important reform, what the proposed reform plan to be rolled out from 1st April 2022, and all the participants. As you're all aware, we are into close to the 5th year of the GST. We are completing 5 years in a matter of another about 4 months' time. This journey of starting from 1st July has, in a way, has been both exhilarating as well as challenging for both the taxpayers as well as the tax administrators across the country. But one common feedback all of us get, this transformational tax reform has made the indirect tax regime much simpler and easier to comply insofar as the taxpayer is concerned. Now, multiplicity of taxes prior to GST, all of you are aware, had its own challenges in terms of not only multiplicity of rates, but also in terms of the multiple compliances. GSTN, being the technology partner, has converged all those compliances into a completely an e-enabled environment, ably supported by NIC in terms of operating two critical functionalities, one relating to Eval, another relating to the e-invoicing. Now, these transformational reforms would not have been possible in a country like ours, where it is a huge country with a vast territorial jurisdiction, but for the active support and cooperation from the taxpayers in absorbing the technology. This has enabled the government to look at more and more in ensuring a non-intrusive, a technology-driven, and a user-friendly tax administration for meeting your compliances. Today's seminar has been by the tax zone of Bengaluru and the Commercial Tax Department of Karnataka. I understand just seminars in the country so far being held after we have announced the mandatory e-invoice for taxpayers with annual 20 crores and above, effective from 1st April. That time, I think the partners are fortunate to have the key architects of this event interacting with all of you. The technical team under the able guidance was instrumental in designing and developing, rolling out and in the earlier phases with the suggestion of the e-governance project of Government of Karnataka. There was a constant review of the business processes and in designing this application. Today we would be there where we are insofar as event. To start with, over 2020, with a turnover of more than 500 crores, making it mandatory by bringing consequent rule amendment in Rule 48, making it mandatory for those taxpayers who have to issue invoices pertaining to B2B transaction only through invoicing. The switch over from the manual issue of invoice to an electronic upload of an invoice in terms of changing over, absorbing the technology has been by and large. Now, looking at to that transition being smoothly made in October 2020, 500 crore and above taxpayers, he reduced the to 21 and further reduced to the turnover having 50 crore. So that means the transition from 500 crore turnover to 50 crore turnover all happened in a span of less than 6. And this would not have been possible but for that application per se, and also the willingness of the taxpayers in absorbing this technology from their perspective. The backward linkages which the e-invoice provides to a taxpayer insofar as accounting of their outward supplies are concerned, and also in ensuring that it happens in the outward supply statement and other filing compliances under GST regime has hugely enriched in ensuring that the technology which has been provided in uploading the e-invoices has been a welcome move to most of the taxpayers. Now, we took closely almost about a year or so before we brought down the 20 crore. Now, this is partially on account of the fact that on account of the COVID, multiple waves, has found it very difficult to go economic revival. Therefore, we particularly in the sector where a large number is proposed to be added to be put into additional burdens. But we also wanted to ensure reform agenda with regard to written filing being undertaken with a twofold objective to enhance the tax efficiency, prevent which was being adopted by some other persons. Now, that reform process in terms of stabilizing, in terms of sequential filing of discipline, in getting the input of it regulated into the recipient took some time for us to correct some of those. That add additional burden in terms of add to also is ripe thanks to the economy. The financing the tax revenue, the increase what we have noticed in terms of electronic filing of I would very statistics. The time lag of 1 to 2 months, the one has as high as 90. The R1 filing, which used to be in 42 to 50%, has gone up to nearly 95% adoption, and also some of the tweaking what we made in the law. Now, with these changes, we said it's time now ripe for invoicing for this group of taxpayers. While we do, we are conscious of the fact that this segment would require more handhold than the earlier segment, which had a well-established ERP systems and their own internal processing. But of delivering on-time solutions by NIC, support of the tax administration's partner scheme, no doubt. Part of the central government introduction of e-invoice would definitely be a smooth process in the earlier period. Now, tax management and the technology, the concerns that may you have with regard to this reform, please use of this seminar. And I must having interacted very closely with Dr. Lickris with NIC, but that to taxpayers in terms of meeting the G is concerned, I think they're always and they're always up with make use of this seminar. Those remarks, and I must also congratulate because in India today for reforms and innovations department of that and the robust tax population that is not a reality. With that, to inaugurate this workshop forward to continued support in compliance of all indirect taxes who are facing compliance are expected to have a complete business nuisance for us your accounting is concerned. We operate input of more than participant in this webinar will have a dual responsibility of not paying the liability, but so you avail for output tax as correct and without any change. The E-Invoice will go a long way in ensuring process integrity, ensuring anonymity with regard to the will be, and there is no related to some your eligible change will put a lot of burden on that. Thank you one for Karnataka department, the central tax zone of Bengaluru, of course the zone I did it prior to my moving over to Delhi. I participated in the zone and worked in the department. I think some of them are part of today. Ms. Sarna and all other officers are available to you to clarify. Please question and ask them with regard to and procedural things and get the maximum out of that. Thank you once again. I think I wish today's workshop all the very best and success. Thank you.
So thank you very much, sir. Sir has given an overall view of how the e-invoice system has evolved in India, in abroad, and how actually the NIC Karnataka is able to, and with the NIC team Delhi, could able to contribute to this particular e-invoice system in India. And with this, I request now the Ranjan Jha, Principal CC, CBSE Bangalore, to give a welcome address to the participants and the stakeholders. Over to ma'am. Ma'am, you have to unmute yourself.
Pardon me. Good morning, everybody. Mr. Nagendra Kumar, Shikha, and all those who are assembled. Welcome to all of you. Today we are meeting here to discuss about the recent changes we have been made in the GST entire architecture. And on this occasion, I'd just like to share a few of my thoughts with the august body here. We have actually been interacting over a period of time. This is not a one-off kind of a thing. I find that we have interacted a total of 20 times in various forms, like what we call a boot camp, where center and state together are presenting the changes made in the GST architecture. We also have other kinds of outreach programs. We've done about 12 of them. In fact, in some of these, I find that the recent changes that have come through in GST, they were accounted for in sector-wise, like MSME sector, the banking sector. We took it separately. We organized quite a few of those. Then we also had GRC meetings, 2 of them. In fact, we discussed quite a few issues in that. Then we also have a functioning GST Seva Kendra, which is functioning on all days of the week. In fact, we've handled more than 12,000 queries in the GST Seva Kendra. And why I'm mentioning this is, this interaction is not a one-off one just limited to today. It's an ongoing thing. It's not going to finish today. We are available at all times over here. You can always approach us. If there's any problem, please approach your GST Seva Kendras. The officers are also available. All the commissioners, all of us are available. You can come and meet us at any point of time if you have any difficult problems over here to accommodate for the changes or for any other queries that you may have. That being said, I also wanted to draw attention to some of the most important changes that we'll be discussing in greater detail today, particularly the new section 16(2)AA, which in fact adds an additional condition to claim the ITC. It's only when the GSTR1 is filed by the supplier and it is communicated to the recipient that you can now avail your ITC. Now I'm seeing there's a lot of noise in the media and other things about a certain tightening measures which are being taken, for availing of ITC credit. I would urge you to take an independent and personal view on the matter, because as I see it, there's been a lot of talk being about working capital is reduced because your supplier has not filed his GSTR1, or he has not paid his taxes and he's not filed his GSTR3B, because then those are essential conditions under Section 16 to avail the credit. So as a result, your credit gets delayed, and then there could be a mismatch after that, and then you receive some kind of a show cause notice. So to obviate all that, the system as an organization has introduced upon itself just a little bit of discipline, so that various parts of the system cooperate together in a better way, in an automatic fashion. So you'll find that that complaint with even the recipient has that the supplier has not filed his GSTR1 and 3B, and the supplier may have a complaint that the recipient has not come forward to make his payment. All these things could be resolved to a greater or lesser extent due to this particular feature. And because of this, in fact, your earlier provision by which you could take some proportion of the eligible credit, a kind of a provisional kind of credit, has now gone. It has become Rule 36(4), has become redundant. In addition to that, also the other provision by which if 3B is not filed, then R1 gets automatically blocked. So kind of sequential filing system has been introduced, by which you will, I'm sure that you'll find that your experience of payment of taxes will overall exponentially increase, because once all parts of the structural organization are doing their own part, and the system itself is forcing them to do it, you'll find the payment of taxes, your valuation, everything will become easier for you. So I would also urge you to take a very open view on all these changes which are taken, and not go by lots of noise, lots of things I'm seeing on the net and on the media regarding this. These are very positive changes, which will take you forward to a new area of interpretation of the GST tax regime. Also, there are new functionalities in the Gst Portal, which also I believe which will rather help you. For example, the interest calculation which you have to do yourself will be automatically auto-populated in your success in the next 3B. That will, in fact, the system itself is prodding you to pay the interest, so you don't have to calculate it yourself. And any kind of disagreements with the department on this ground and issuing of show cause notice, etc., resulting in litigation, will definitely decrease. And apart from this, you have this search functionality which has come up. And I was seeing there was some in the media, there was some talk about how it is difficult to locate what HSN, or what thing that is appropriate for your commodity or service. And now it has been integrated with the invoices, although the AI will adapt itself and improve in course of time. But definitely the database of invoices is huge. So it will help you in putting the HSN codes or the service codes while filing your returns. So as a result of all this, I earnestly hope and trust that your experience of payment of taxes is mitigated and it is comfortable to the extent possible. Then, as far as today's outreach is concerned, as Mr. Nagin Kumar said, please do take full advantage of it. Be active, ask a few questions, and never mind if your questions are not addressed today. We are always available. Whatever you're giving in the chat, we are noting it down, and we'll try and respond to it. We'll definitely respond to it. You can also come back to us at any point of time. We're always available here. And we'll be putting up a schedule of further interactions on the website. So do be in touch with our website. We'll have more of these planned, and we'll kind of, have a different mechanism also of doing it. So with these words, I now send it backward, and please do have a productive and useful session today. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your address on the recent changes brought about from 1/1/2022 with respect to the budgetary changes of 21, and highlighting on the importance of invoice system and the effective functionalities enabled on the GST. And also, I hope all the taxpayers can make use of it, and elaborate discussions will be made by Sabrina Cano after the session of invoice system. Now I request Ma'am Shika ma'am, Commissioner of Commercial Taxes, Commercial Tax Department, and she is spearheading the activities of the Commercial Tax Department from last year, July 2021. And now we have made a lot of changes under her leadership, and now she will take over and she will give her a welcome address and about the invoice and the the activities what actually the Commercial Tax Department is taking it up. Over to ma'am.
So very good morning to Nagendra sir and Ranjana madam, all our senior officers, participants, all the stakeholders and participants of this webinar. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for to all the stakeholders for ensuring a better compliance of e-invoicing in the state. Karnataka, as we all know, it is very close to us because NIC wing of Karnataka is the software provider for GST, and for this, as back as in 2014 itself, Karnataka had introduced EU Pass, and following that, now e-invoice has come into effect since October 2020, and by April 22, the turnover limit is proposed to be dropped to 20 crore. So that way, currently we are having in Karnataka around 10,000 e-invoice taxpayers bandwidth, and going forward another 13,000 will be added to that by virtue of reducing the turnover. So, and this may be the first webinar in this calendar year on e-invoice, but as madam has pointed out, going forward, any kind of interactive session, Karnataka CTD along with our central counterparts, we will be very happy to take it forward. As you all know that in a sequel of creating awareness to our dealers and taxpayers, we have already released 20 short movies on various aspects of GST, which has been received very well by our dealers and SSEs, that relate to the latest amendment, that relate to the how we should ensure that our PAN cards are not misused, how as a customer we should ask for a bill and an invoice so that government is not deprived of its due full tax. So going forward, we are also coming up with a sequel of movies on e-invoice and latest changes in ITC. As madam has pointed out, in last Financial Act 21 and also in this Financial Bill 22, a lot of changes are proposed in ITC sector. ITC section 16.2 AA was introduced last year. This year 16.2 BA is proposed. So like in banking sector, know your customer is the main thing. Now know your supplier will also become a bottom line. So you should know the supplier who is supplying you, whether he is uploading his GSTR1 and thereby making you eligible for your ITC. So these are all the very, very interesting changes which government is introducing. And I tell you one thing, that it is not just for the government that it will become seamless. Even for an SSE, you see right now what is happening. Now that we have started this scrutiny procedure, and with all this mismatch, you must be receiving notices. With this new introduction, the system itself will ensure that such mismatches are not allowed, and it will restrict the entry there itself, thereby causing you much lesser hassle in future. So with those words, I will pass it on to Dr. Murali Krishna to take this forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I think many participants want to participate because of the capacity of the webinar is on 1020 or 1010 itself. We will certainly share this particular video recording to all the stakeholders the days to come. And I should thank and place it on record for the initiatives taken by Shikha ma'am in the particularly in the last couple of months, particularly to the driving of e-scrutiny through GST Prime. We could able to collect a good amount of revenue in that. And we are hoping to put place about e-scrutiny module, or the NIC Karnataka is working on that. I think shortly in 1 or 2 days, I think they are going to demonstrate, and we are going to do the UAT, and it being put in place from the April 2021, that 22. That's what ma'am said. And further, the video pertain to this particular the awareness campaign, which is well received from all the taxpayers. Thank you, ma'am, for all your initiatives undertaken in the Commercial Tax Department. And days to come, certainly we'll going to host some more awareness program of this nature, so that we can create the awareness among the taxpayers to see that better compliance happens in the e-invoice and also in the GST in the days to come. And we're all looking forward for that. Now I request the next the presentation on the topics is from the NIC Karnataka. Our is the backbone for all our the past 15 years, Mr. P.V. Bhatt, SIO DDG, and sir will going to make a presentation brief, and later on will be taken up by the Senior Technical Director Sunita ma'am, and that she will going to explain for the 20 to 50 crore turnover and the usefulness of the JEP tool, what has been introduced by them. And later on, Suresh Mehta, Technical Director, will take over to the question answers. In the 1.5 years, what actually they have encountered the issues in the E-Invoice system, so that others also can learn and they can take it further forward. And we should really thank the NIC team who are working with us in the past 2010 and we're rolling it out, our VAT EFS system, and now the Gst Portal, the backend, and E-Bill and E-Invoice system who are given to the nationwide. And without them, I don't think we could have traveled so far. Now I owe to Mr. PV Bhatt, SIO, to give a few thoughts about this today's seminar. Over to PV Bhatt, sir.
Thank you, Murali Krishna. Sri DP Nagendra Kumar, member CBSE Board and Government of India. Srimati Ranjana Jha, Principal Chief Commissioner, Bengaluru Zone, CGST. Srimati Shika, Commissioner Commercial Tax, and other dignitaries in the co-host, and also chartered accountants, dear chartered accountants and taxpayers. So I will start with my presentation. Few of the presentation I will explain what are the things we have done, what are the things we are taking up. Then later my colleagues, Sunita Bennur, will explain in detail about the user-friendly software which has been developed for E-Invoice, like a browser-based system and Android-based system, how you can use. Now, if you attended our previous seminars, we have mainly focused on the API-based interface till now. Now we have switched over because you are on the small taxpayer, you may not have that kind of capabilities to interface with the API because of the various reasons. If some people have an interface with the API, it is very good, they can go ahead. But if some people are not having that capability, they don't have a system kind of a thing, we have built up user-friendly systems. So those systems they can use and start understanding the process and use it. It is like a E-way bill system where you go into the portal and do the data entry and generate your E-way bill. Similar kind of systems we have built. So those systems can be used by you and you can take it further on that line, the building of the systems. So now we'll start with the presentation. Basically, it is on the E-Invoice. E-Invoice, next slide please. As already Dr. Murali Krishna has told, NIC is involved very much with the government organizations. It is a government organization. We are providing a lot of e-governance and digital services to the citizens. And also with the indirect taxation, we are predominantly working with the customs, which the CPIC is using. And also in the Karnataka, previously we have worked on a VAT, professional tax, sale tax systems, and other states also are doing. Last 4 years back, when this system has been introduced, the GST, Government of India has assigned the e-way bill system to NIC. So we have built up and running that system. Now, last 1.5 years, we have built the E-Invoice system and we are running that system now. Next slide. So before I start on the e-invoicing system, I thought I will cover up the e-way bill system, how the e-way bill system is going to help helping the whole ecosystem. Next slide. So as all of you know, the e-way bill is required for the goods movement where the value of the goods is more than 50,000. So in fact, if you can see for last 4 years, our journey has gone through that. We started 55 crore e-way bill generation in the first year of the introduction, then 62 crores, 61 crore. Now 74 crore already it has reached till the yesterday, that is 17th of March. So still we are expecting another 3-4 crore. So this year economy, it is indicating, the e-way bill is indicating economy is growing and it is taking care about the requirement. And in fact, 41 lakhs suppliers are involved in this e-way bill usage and recipient is around 90 lakh. And 1 lakh transporters are there. Completely it is, as you know, it is one nation, one tax, one market and one e-way bill. In fact, those who are using the our e-way bill system, every state has the e-way bill, separate e-way bill. So now, when the GST has come, one e-way bill is introduced throughout the country. It has simplified the whole thing and it is removed the check posts. So only random checks are being carried out. It has helped the logistic drastically because, as we understand from some of the logistic companies, that they are reducing around 30% of the time for the movement of the goods. So that is one of the other area where it has helped, and it is encouraging the people to self-report the transactions, which will go into the GSTR1 for the subsequent purpose. It has improved the tax compliance also, increased the tax revenue collection, and also it has gone into the step towards ease of doing the business. Because e-way bill is a simple format, only 7-8 parameters you have to enter, mandatory. So then you can generate the e-way bill and go ahead with that. Nobody can question you and cross-check you. When you show the e-way bill, nobody can go further detail on that. That is how the e-way bill has gone, and the people are not verifying much also e-way bill nowadays. Next slide, please. This is about the e-way bill system. Now I will go to the e-invoice system. In the e-invoice, next slide, please. So you know, as of now, because when we started the e-invoice system in October 2020 for the 500 crore above, then we started gradually reducing. So as on today, 144 crore e-way bills have been generated on the portal now. So almost you can say every day 40 to 42 lakhs e-way bills are being, e-invoices are being generated, and we are having all the features and everything, which is helping it is standardized format. It can take care about any kind of the bills or invoice where the taxpayers are using, and they will get back the digitally signed the e-way bill, e-invoice, which you can use it for your purposes. And it has a seamless integration mechanism with the e-way accounting and ERP system. A lot of the taxpayers have integrated with that, and those who are providing the ERP system also, they have integrated with the e-way bill system, e-invoice system, and they are generating it. And we have a bulk upload facility and other things are there. I will go into that detail in the next slide. Next slide, please. Sunita, slide is not coming. Yes, you can see the journey, how the e-invoice is working out. You can know that October 1st, we have started 500 crore. Then January 1st, 2021, we have started 100 crore. Then 1st April 2021, we have started 50 crore. In next month, we are going to start at 20 crore about taxpayers. So you can see when for first month, we have generated 5.7 crore e-invoices. The last February, we have gone into the 9 crore. I am expecting this month it will cross 10 crore e-invoices on the portal, and maximum it has reached up to 48 lakhs e-invoices per a day. So, and you can see that already 1.5 lakh taxpayers, suppliers are generating the e-way bill, and already 144 crores are being generated, and 75 lakh taxpayer recipients are there in the e-way bill, e-invoice system. You can see that. So now this will help the taxpayer basically to get the easy ITC. Now, one of the challenge the people may be saying about the ITC, now when the e-invoice is introduced for all the taxpayer, everything comes into the portal, then ITC becomes an easy job. Once the e-invoice is generated, automatically reflect on the basket of the purchases of the taxpayer, so immediately will get the ITC. So this is how it is going to change over and simplify the benefit, or basically it is going to provide the benefit to the taxpayer when they are interacting with the purchaser and supplier interaction is happening. Next slide. So this is the journey which I have already explained. Next slide. So you can see now the e-invoice system, supplier is involved, supplier is generating. So it is simplifying the compliance for the supplier. It will help him auto generation of e-way bill, and it will help him to prepare the GSTR automatically. One will be prepared automatically. One need not have to go in and go on preparing the GSTR one and keep on uploading. So this is the benefit where the taxpayer suppliers are going to get. Now recipient, what he will get? Assured ITC. Once supplier is uploaded the invoice, automatically it will come in his GSTR 2B. So it will show that his ITC is being acceptable. So auto processing of receipt will happen, and assured ITC will get the recipient. This is the benefit which both the taxpayer community is going to get. Transporter, whenever transporter is started going to move the goods, he has to just enter the e-invoice number, so a vehicle number, so the e-way will be generated and he can easily move the goods. So no further questions will be asked, because he need not have to enter the complete detail what he used to do for the e-way bill. That will help the transporter. Obviously, financer also can be linked. Tomorrow the taxpayers, whatever you are taking the loan or the liability you are taking from the banks, loans and other things, discounting you may be doing with the bills. So that will happen easily. Banker can immediately take your e-invoice and you can give the whatever the discounted amount is required to be done for trading purpose, that can happen through this system, because this is again the extended ecosystem which will help the taxpayer, the GST taxpayer, to take it further. GST officer obviously will get benefited because the compliance will become easier. No need of doing a lot of things. It will, coming days, it may reduce the further auditing activity, because everything will automatic matching will happen. Because once E-invoice is there, automatically supplier will get, recipient will get the ITC. So whole thing will be taken care. Government will also get benefited because it is promoting the ease of doing business for the taxpayer. So if you see, every stakeholder in the system will be getting benefited when the E-invoice comes into the picture. Next slide. So this is the portal which is available. You can go to the portal. Portal has a number of helps. You can go to the help, understand the user manuals, FAQs are there, tools are there. You can use that tool and verify and understand how the tools can be used. You can do the taxpayer search, you can do verification of the signature, whatever E-invoice you have got. You can verify whether the E-invoice is genuine or not. All the master details are there. Actually, if you go to the portal, it is a comprehensive portal where all the information related required for E-invoice is available on that. One need not have to go here and there to do that kind of a thing. Next slide. So this is the other, because one of the challenge the taxpayer faces is the QR code. How to verify the E-invoice, the copy what has been given, or QR code, how to verify. We have given one app on the portal. You can download that app, put it on your mobile. So then if somebody provides, your suppliers provide the E-invoice copy, signed copy that you can upload and verify. If you give the QR code in the signed hard copy, you can read the QR code using this. So this will tell that whether this invoice has been uploaded into our portal or not. If it is uploaded, it will show the QR code, content of the QR code, and it will also show the invoice. So you can doubly ensure that your supplier has uploaded the invoice and the QR code is coming from the E-invoice system. So that way you can ensure that the whole ecosystem can get confidence between themselves, taking further their business activity. Next slide. So now I'm coming to the interesting portion where we are more focusing for 20 to 50 crore taxpayer, who are around 1.2 lakhs taxpayers are there. I mean, out of 2 lakh or so who are supposed to start generating the invoices. They are I know they are all the small taxpayers, but most of them may be having the IT system. They can use that IT system also. And also they can interface if they have already ERP solutions from some of the reputed ERP companies. They may have an interface with the E-invoice system. They can use the API system and build and continue further. If they are not having that system, we have provided these tools. These tools can be used and built. One is first is a Japan tool. Japan tool is nothing but a browser-based application. URL once you enter, you can offline also you can work and take it further. This Japan tool will be explained in detail by my friend colleague after my presentation is over in 5 minutes. So that will explain how easily you can use the e-invoicing system. Use the system to generate a e-invoice and generate the QR code based printout of the invoice also. Then second one is a mobile based Japan tool is also available. On the mobile, you can carry out this activity and generate the e-invoice. Again, the QR code based the invoice also. Japan offline tool is also introduced. If somebody wants to work independently locally, it is an offline tool. It is Excel based tool. You need to have Excel. If Excel is there, you have to download our application. Locally, you can do. Once you do the locally, it will prepare some files, which you upload into the E-invoice portal. It will generate the E-invoice with a QR code. You can take a printout and continue your business activity. The fourth one is a bulk entry option, which is being used by big taxpayer also, because they may have an independent taxpayer ERP system. They are not integrated, means they can continue that activity. They can prepare the format in the Excel format, the data, upload into the bulk entry Excel format. It will prepare the JSON file, upload our JSON file into our portal and generate the e-invoices. This is the tool available, which is now currently used by some of the taxpayers. 15% of the taxpayers are using this. Next slide. If some taxpayers wants to use the API system, so these are the 3 ways through which they can do. If you are 20 to 50 crore or up to 500 crore taxpayers, one is government has already identified, GST has already identified the GST Suvidha providers. There are around 50 to 60 people are there that in our portal, the list is there. You can tie up with them. If you are having already ERP system, link through that and do. The other method is the ERPs. Some big ERPs like Oracle may be there, Tally may be there, or whoever the ERP solution providers, SAP is there. They have already integrated their system with the e-invoicing system. So you can use that ERP solution also. And if you are using their solution, you can tie up with them and generate the e-invoice from their activity also. The third one is if you are supplying to the big taxpayers. So big taxpayers are already integrated with our invoicing system. So they may, some taxpayers have asked that we want to extend the API-based e-invoicing system to our suppliers. So for that, we have provided that mechanism. If your purchaser is allowing you, you can link through them and do that. What we understand, like automobile industry or some other places, the big taxpayers have provided the ERP solution to their suppliers. And that solution is provided by the big company only. They have already integrated with the our e-invoicing system. So through that channel, you can generate e-invoice automatically. They will extend that support. You can see that facility and use it also. Next slide. Okay, now I will ask my colleague Sunita Bennur to completely explain how to use the Japan tool and take it further. And one more point I thought I will tell here that now already 1,400 taxpayers who are in the range of 20 crore to 50 crore are started using the system and generating a e-invoice. So the already people have started, they are encouraged and they are doing that activity. Proactively, they have come up on the portal, they have started generating the e-invoice on the portal. Already they have generated more than around 25,000 e-invoices. Gradually, it will pick up in next 15 days. So what I wanted to tell that you can go into the portal. If you are using the web-based portal, you can start now, generate, understand yourself how the things are there, and you can take it further on that line. Over to Sunita.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to all. So as we discussed that a number of tools are now available for the taxpayers to readily use the e-invoicing system. These do not require any API integration. The first one I will take up as that is the JEP-ON. So this JEP-ON is a system which is available at jep.einvoice1.gst.gov.in. Let us see what are the features of JEP-ON. So JEP-ON stands for GST E-Invoice Preparing and Printing Tool. So this tool is a browser-based online user-friendly system. That is, you can log into the system using the credentials, and this is online. And why we say it is a browser-based is because as you submit the e-invoices to the e-invoice portal, a copy of these invoices are also stored in your browser cache. That means you can access this data anytime you want and use the data available in the browser. How to access this JEP-ON system? So this is, you can use your e-waybill or e-invoice web credentials to access or log into this JEP-ON system. If at all you don't have, you can create one in the e-waybill system and use the same credentials in the JEP-ON system. This JEP-ON can also be downloaded on the mobile. So there are options in the JEP-ON system to download it to your mobile, either iOS or Android, and you can readily use on the mobile. This can also be used in the offline mode. When we say it is offline mode, that is when there is internet connectivity is not there, then you can still use the system to enter the invoices. So you are just doing only the data entry of all the invoices. So when you are online, you can submit these invoices to the invoice registration portal. So this will save your time and you need not wait for the internet connectivity. The JEP-ON system has all the validations incorporated. So as you make the data entry, entry of the invoices, the validations will be performed and will indicate if there is any mistake. The JEP-ON system contains all the functionalities of the e-invoice system. So as we said that the invoice system has a bulk upload and also through API integration, what all functionalities we have provided, all these functionalities such as generate invoice, cancel invoice, generate e-waybill, All these major functionalities are available in the Japan system. Now this is the Japan portal, how it looks like. So you can see here the URL jep.einvoice1.gst.gov.in. So as you open this application, the system will prompt you to enter the username password. Here you can see we have indicated that the username and password are registered in the e-invoice or the e-way system. If you are still not registered, you can go register in the e-way system, then use those credentials for the JEP system. Also, any feedback you have for this Japan system, you can log in to the E-Invoice portal and send your feedback. So this is the login. You will enter your username, you will enter the password, the CAPTCHA, and you will submit. So on entering, it will also ask now OTP. There is a two-factor authentication built into the Japan system so that it is more secure. So OTP will be sent to your registered mobile number. That is the mobile number which is registered in the GST portal against your GSTN. To that, the OTP will be sent. The user will enter the OTP here and he will submit. So now you will be logged in into the Japan system. So you can see in the as you log in, there is a dashboard welcoming you to indicate how many invoices you have generated or how many invoices are pending still to be submitted to the invoice portal, and how many recipients you have added or how many products you have added. In the right corner, you can see here, there is a download facility for the mobile. You can either to your iOS or Android, you can download this Japan system. It will again ask for a OTP and you can register onto the mobile. On the left hand side, you can see all the options that are available. That is, these are the reports like pending invoices. These are those invoices for which you have made a data entry and stored in the JEP system, but you have not yet submitted to the invoice portal. Generated invoices are those which you have already generated through this Japan system. Then you have an option here to create invoice, e-way bill by IRN, cancel IRN, and masters. So this is another beauty of the system wherein the masters can be created. As you know, the GSTNs are 15 digit and it is cumbersome to enter these GSTNs. So a master can be created. So when you just go to create the invoice, a drop down will be indicated there for you to select. So you can select one of the recipient and continue with invoice generation. Similarly, product master can be created wherein you can enter all your products that are being supplied, and you can use this master as a repository or for while generating the e-invoice system. And also we come to the right hand side, you can see how many recipients you have entered. These are the frequently used recipients and these are the frequently used products. So now here you can see the pending invoices and the generated invoices. So this is the profile. So basically when you enter into the Japan system, as you enter it, since you're logging with your own credentials, the GSTN, the legal name, trade name are auto-populated here. To give a look and feel about your business, you can also add your logo here. So once you add your logo, this particular logo will be shown in the invoice when it is taken for print. So you can add these details and save into the system. Similarly, as I said, you can add the recipients. Here we have just entered one GSTN. The details are auto-populated. The address details can be specified and made as a master. So we can see here the recipient masters are shown. All the details of the recipients of your business will be shown in this master. These are the products. All the products which you are supplying, you can add it as a master so that next time when you add this product in your invoice, all the details like HSN code, then the unit and what is the unit price, all this will get auto-populated. So this is the repository of all the product masters that you have created. Now we'll come to creating of invoice. So when you open this create invoice option, you can see here the supply types. So all the 4 supply types are shown here: B2B, SEZ, export and deemed exports. So when you say B2B, it will ask whether it is an IGST or intrastate. and whether it incurs any reverse charge, and what is the document type you are selecting, whether it is a tax invoice, debit note, or a credit note. Then you will enter the document details and also the document date. The next tab, sorry. So the next tab shows the recipients. So now here, as you just enter few characters of GSTN or legal name, the details will be populated and you can add this particular recipient details. Here you will ask the transaction type, whether it's a regular, means it's the dispatch or the, and the receipt of this particular invoice is as per the GSTIN's address, then you can select it as regular. If there is a change in the dispatch address, you can say bill from is a bill from. And if there is a change in a recipient address, then you can say ship to. Or if there is both change in the dispatch and the ship to, you can say it's a combination. So you can select accordingly from this transaction type. And next is the place of supply. So here you will select the state where this supply is made. Now we come to adding the products. So here, when you go to add products, the details are shown. You can select from the drop down and automatically all the details will get populated. And you can see here the calculation is also automatic. You can enter the number of quantity and everything gets calculated. That is GST rate is as per the master what is entered. And what is the, the tax such as CGST, SGST, everything gets automatically calculated and the total value will be shown. So now on entering of all the items, you come to the fourth tab, that is the total values. The total of all the invoice will be shown here, like the total taxable value, total tax, and if there is any discount, you can enter that discount, and if there are any charges, that also can be entered. And if you want to round off this particular invoice, you can enter the round off value. After entering of this, you can proceed if you want to generate the e-way bill. So here the e-way bill is not mandatory. If you want, you can generate the e-way bill or you can generate it later. So for the e-way bill details, you can enter the transporter ID or the transport mode, whether it is road, air, ship or rail. And what is the distance? So distance is automatically calculated here. Then transporter doc number, transporter document date, and what is the vehicle number. And vehicle type. So here a vehicle type is regular or ODC. Accordingly, the validity of the e-way bill will be calculated based on the vehicle type. So after entering of these details, we come to the preview. You can see the preview of the invoice here. And then you can see here, there is a button called generate. So on click of this button, the e-invoices generated successfully. You can see there is an acknowledgement number. This is the e-invoice acknowledgement number. If you are opted for e-way bill, the e-way bill number and the date is also shown here. So now you can come to printing of this e-way bill. So as I said, the logo of your company is there, the QR code is there, the details of the e-invoice and the e-way bill also is printed, and indicator saying that is digitally signed. So all these details informations are available. The IRN also is available here, acknowledgement number. So with all these details, you can take a print of this. So now we come to the cancel IRN. As you know, invoices can be cancelled within 24 hours of generation. So here, if you want to cancel for the generated e-invoices, you can see here all the generated invoices are available. So on click of this, you can proceed further to enter the cancel reason and cancel the e-invoice. Similarly, if you have any other, if you want to search based on the document details, you can select the second tab, enter the document number or the invoice number, and the particular invoice will be shown and you can cancel the invoice. Or if you have a acknowledgement number or the IRN number, based on that also you can cancel the invoice. Now we come to the backup and restore option. As I said that when you go to generate the e-invoice, in the Japan system, I said it was a browser-based system. That is, all the data is stored in your browser cache. So the data what is there in the browser cache, if at all by accidentally it is being cleared or the cache is cleared, in that case before that, you should ensure that a backup of that is taken. So every day, a backup of this particular information or the invoices that you have generated can be taken by going to this backup and restore option. So here, when you go to this facility, you can just click on backup data. So one file called the JSON file will be created, and in your download directory, you can take this particular JSON file and store it. So, and suppose if you want to change your browser or you want to change from one system to another system, you can take this file, import this file, again coming back to this, say restore data, and all the invoices that you had generated through any browser or from any other system will be imported into the JEPON system. So this is the backup and restore facility. So this is about the JEPON system where...
1 minute, Sunita. Just to add what my colleague is explaining, this JEPON tool can be used as an independent solution to carry out your activity if you are not having ERP system. If your ERP system, whichever you are using, has a facility, you can continue with that. And if it has a facility for e-invoicing generation, you can very well continue with that. If somebody is not having any system, so this can be used where it can be used to store all the invoices generated, and also it will take care about linking with the e-invoicing system. If your ERP system is not having a interface with e-invoicing system, you can continue your activity, but you may have to do once again the entry here to generate the e-invoice with a QR code. One of the requirements of the e-invoicing system is whatever the bill or the invoice you are issuing, it needs to have a QR code generated from the e-invoicing portal. So that QR code, if you are ready, your ERP solution is providing, very well, you can go ahead with that. Those who are not having, they can use this tool. It is a user-friendly, simple tool. To a certain extent, it will take care about the requirement of your maintaining the invoices in the local your system. That is why my colleague also explained about the backup and restore. Local invoice, whatever you have entered, can be backed up and stored, and it can be used. Some reports also you can generate, which is completely, and use it accordingly. Thank you, Sunita. You can continue.
So now we come to another tool, that is a JEP tool. So the previous one, what I explained, was an online system, whereas this is an offline system. So this is a Excel-based tool which you can download from the E-Invoice portal. So when you go to the E-Invoice portal, under the help, you can, there are tools option is there. If you go there, you can get all these tools. This is the JEP tool. So you can see the JEP tool is available here, which can be downloaded. All the information about this tool is updated in this. So you can see what are the recent changes that are done to this tool is available, and the user manual is available. Also, there are some videos which you can follow this and understand about this JEP tool. So this is a totally offline tool. Now we come to the main features of this offline tool, the JEP offline tool. So as I said, it's an Excel-based application. The invoices are entered using user-friendly forms. That is, it's an Excel-based, but there are some simple forms, user-friendly forms. So you'll feel as if you are entering these invoices in an application, and there is no confusion when you're entering this data. And this data is stored in the Excel sheets. So here all the data is there in the Excel sheet or in the tool itself. So it will act as a repository for you with all the invoices that you have entered, with all the invoices that you have generated, with all the IRNs, etc. And you can even take a print from this particular tool. It has all some of the validations built in this particular tool. All validations are not possible in the Excel tool. So some of the validations are done like calculations, etc. Then here also we have masters being created for the recipients and products. As I explained in JEPON, how the masters for recipients and products were available. The same way these masters are there in the JEP offline also. So as you enter the invoices, when you go for generation of, when you want to submit this particular invoices to the invoice portal, you need to generate one data file. So this data file can be generated from this tool and uploaded in the portal. Another important feature what we have given is the payments. That is, as you enter all the invoices, you would also like to enter the payments that you have received against this. So these payments are available only in this tool. they will not be in the invoice portal. So this is an additional information that you will get when you are entering this information, so that you can understand what is the liability, or what is the payment pending from your recipients, etc. And also you can generate a report here to understand what is the balance from all your recipients. So this is how the tool looks like. So this is, you feel it's like an application. It is online application. So this is, but actually it is a Excel tool. So you can see on the left hand side all the different options available. That is to create new invoice. What are the pending invoices? After you have generated invoice, you would want to import that QR code back into your system. And if you would want to print the invoice from this particular tool, then all the generated invoices from this tool are available under this. And the payment details, if you want to understand what are the payments done by your customers, that also you can see. And here you can see the masters. And also there is a facility for importing the data. So as I said, how we have given the backup and restore facility in the Japan. Similarly, your tool, you can also import the data when you move to, if you want to move the data from one tool to another. So you can use the import data option. You can also see the latest updates over here. Now we come to the profile. So as I said, this is an offline tool. You need to provide your GSTIN details, like your GSTIN, legal name, trade name, supplier address, etc. So with all these details, again, your company logo can be added. So that was profiling your JEP tool with all the supplier details. Then here you come to the recipients. Here you are creating the masters of all the recipients. So you are adding all the recipient details, and you can see the list of all the recipients here. Similarly, product masters can be created. You can enter the name, then the HSN code, the rate, etc. And you can save it in the masters. Now we come to the invoice entry. So you can see here in the document details, you can enter the category, whether it is a B2B, SEZ or export, etc. Then reverse charges, whether it is applicable. Then the document type can be selected from the drop down, document number, date, and your recipient details. So here you can just enter few words, and the details of the recipient will be shown, and you can auto populate all these details. As I explained, the transaction type, whether it is regular, bill from, ship to, or a combination, can be selected here. If there is an IGST on intrastate, you can select through this option. Now, the next thing is adding new items. So on click of new items, you can add the details. You can see here again, just adding few characters in the product description. A list will be shown from the master, and you can select one of them and auto populate the details. And the other details like the quantity, etc. will be given, and it will show the details calculated here. And there is option again for you to change also. You can even edit these values. So here you can see this invoice has one item details entered. Other charges, discount, round off, etc. All these can be entered here. So here there's a payment details. You can see the payment received. You can enter here, and what was the payment date and what is the balance. If you want to proceed with entering the e-way bill details, you can click on this and proceed to enter the e-way bill details, like transporter ID or the vehicle number, etc. So this is the e-way bill details. So on entering of all these details, you can see a preview before you save it. And once this is confirmed, then you can click on the confirm button. So now what happens is, this actually backend is, as I said, it's an Excel tool. All the details are stored here in this particular Excel sheet. So now here there is a button here, validate and review. So now this, you can again validate once more and see whether the data that is entered is coming correctly. And then you can click on the prepare JSON and create this file. Now this particular file can be uploaded in the invoice registration portal. So you will log into the portal using your login credentials. You will select this file and you will submit. So all the invoices are submitted. If there is any error, it will be shown here, and you can download this and import this back into your tool. So this is the invoice that you can take a print. Again, the payment details can be entered further. So that is about the JEPOF tool. Now we come to the bulk generation of invoices in the using other tools. So as I said, these are other Excel tools. Just you can just copy paste from your system back into this particular tool. So these are available in the bulk IRN generation. There are different formats, format A, B, C, D, wherein format A contains for those business requirements with only a single item. And format B has many, if you have many items, then you can exclusively enter all these items into one sheet. And format C contains all the details in one sheet. So like this, depending on your business requirement, you can select one of these formats. So here this is, you can see this Excel tool here. Again, here you can do a profiling and you can customize your particular sheet with all these options. Suppose if you do not have reverse charges, or if you do not have any bill from, etc., or if you do not have any exports, you can disable them. So the corresponding columns will not be displayed in the Excel sheet. So you can see this is how the bulk tool appears. And on entry of all these details, you can click on validate and check whether data is entered correctly. Or else if there is any error, it will show in one of the columns. Here you can see that last column with all the errors, and you can correct it. And once it is done, validated successfully, you can go to create this particular file, that is prepare JSON. And you can again come to the invoice portal, upload this particular file, and generate the e-invoice. Also in this tool, there are what are the validations done and what are the calculations. All these are explained. You can go through. This is a comprehensive tool and understand about invoicing in detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunita.
Now I request Suresh Mehta to take over and be brief on question and answer session. And since there is already another half an hour of interaction session is there, we can have further interaction session, and you can answer all the most of the questions as in the chat box. And over to Mr. Suresh Mehta.
I want to add one thing here. Whatever has been explained, all these tools details, videos are available in the portal. E-Invoice.gov.in portal, when you go, gst.gov.in. In the portal, all these videos are available, PPTs are available. We are also going to share all these PPTs also. So I request you can go through there and download the video and understand how easily you can use this system and take it further on that. Thank you. Suresh, you can continue.
Thank you, sir. I hope I'm audible and the screen is visible.
Yes.
Visible, Suresh.
Yeah, thank you. Very good afternoon to all the participants and senior officers from state and central GST and NIC. So here we are trying to address some of the frequently asked questions related to e-invoicing. So as Bhatt sir just mentioned, like all the material, help, everything is available in the e-invoice portal. So one can go to the e-invoice portal, and under the help section, we can see the documents and manuals, etc., related to how to use e-invoicing. So here we are just trying to address some of the questions that we come across very frequently. So first thing is, how do I know whether I am supposed to register invoice or not? So for this, we have a facility on the e-invoice portal. We can anyway, we are going to share these frequently asked questions subsequently through our portal as well as email. So this is the URL where you can go, and under in the menu you can go to search, and under that you can use the
Suresh, somebody else is sharing the PPT?
Yes, sir, I'm just trying to.
Okay.
Is it visible, sir, now?
Suresh, it's visible now.
Okay, thanks. So one can visit this portal and make use of this facility where you can enter your GSTIN and get to know whether you have been enabled for e-invoicing or not. So which turnover is considered for eligibility of taxpayers for registering the invoices? So if you have crossed the 20 crore turnover in any of the financial year since GST has been implemented, you are supposed to mandatorily register your invoices on the invoice registration portal and get the IRN. So if your turnover crosses this limit, whatever is announced by the government time to time, so your invoices are supposed to have the IRN and the QR code on the invoice. So my turnover is more than 20 crores, but my status shows I am not eligible for E-Invoice. How can I enable myself? So basically we are looking at the returns filed in the previous years to find out who are the taxpayers who have crossed 20 crores as the turnover. But due to some reason, like if you are not enabled for registering the invoices, then there is a facility on the same portal where you can go under registration. There is an option called as E-Invoice Enablement. There you can enter your registered mobile number, email ID, and you can specify the turnover that you have crossed and in which particular financial year, and accordingly you can self-register or self-enable yourself for registration of the invoices. Is the invoicing voluntary? That is, can entities with aggregate turnover less than 20 crores allowed to generate e-invoices from IRP if they wish to do so? No. At present, only those who have crossed this particular turnover, that is right now 20 crores turnover from who are supposed to generate the IRNs from 1st April 2022, only those people can generate the IRNs. Those who are below this threshold are not supposed to generate the IRNs. I'm one of the IST, SEZ, TDS or UNI. Am I supposed to register my invoices? No. These type of registered taxpayers are exempted from registering the invoices. My turnover is less than the threshold announced by government, or my business type is exempted from E-Invoice, but the portal shows my business is enabled for E-Invoice. How can I get it disabled? So again, the other way, like the way we were talking about, if you are eligible but you have been shown as ineligible, there could be the other way around. So in case you are not supposed to register the invoices, then you can raise your concern at the GST Common Portal. Can I integrate my system through API with E-Invoice system? So if your turnover is more than 500 crores, then you can get directly access to the APIs of E-Invoice system. Otherwise, you will have to go through the GSP ERP or the taxpayers who are having more than 500 crore turnover and they have got direct access to E-Invoice system. You can come through them also. So what are the modes of E-Invoice registration of taxpayers with turnover less than 500 crores? So as Sunita Madam had already explained, there are different tools like JEP on, JEP off, bulk tool, and also there is a mobile application that can be downloaded from the E-Invoice portal on the mobile on which you have, which is having the registered mobile number. So on that device, you can download the app and you can make use of it to register your invoices. Is there a facility to enter one invoice details at a time to register invoice? As you have seen in the demo, either using the JEP off tool or JEP on tool or the mobile application, you will be able to enter one by one invoice. And if you already have a system where you have generated your invoices, you can copy the data or export the data from your system in a particular format and paste it into the bulk generation tool, and from there you can generate multiple invoices at a time using the bulk upload tool. Can we use the same credentials to access E-Invoice and E-Bill in production environment? Yes, both are integrated systems. They are seamlessly integrated with each other. So you can use the same credentials that you have been using for E-Bill. In case you are already an E-Bill user, you can make use of the same credentials to use the E-Invoice as well, and the vice versa. There is a common registration for both the systems. I have registered at GST Portal. Do I have to register separately for E-Bill and E-Invoice? Yes, you have to register yourself, but of course your data is already available with the E-Bill and E-Invoice system, so against which you will be registering yourself once again on the either E-Bill or E-Invoice system. Once you have registered in one of these two, you will be enabled in the other one. I mean, you can make use of the same credentials on the other system as well, provided you are eligible to use the invoice. Do I need to generate the invoice on IRP? So it is IRP is basically a registration portal. So you are not actually generating the invoice on the IRP. You are generating the invoice in your own system, whatever way you have been doing. But once you have generated the invoice, you will be registering it on the IRP to get the IRN, that is the invoice reference number, as well as digitally signed invoice back. So you are not preparing the invoice on the portal, you are submitting the invoice to get it registered on the portal. Can I amend the details of a reported invoice for which IRN has already been generated? I mean, no, amendment is not possible. Once IRN is generated, it cannot be amended on the E-Invoice portal. However, the E-Invoice data is pushed to GST Common Portal for auto population into GSTR1. So if there are any corrections to be done, you can do it in the GSTR1 while filing your GSTR1 returns, but such changes will be flagged to the officer. What is the time limit for generation of IRN? Previously, 24 hours time limit had been provided for generation of IRN after the preparation of invoice, but subsequently, based on the feedback, this was removed. But as of now, those invoices with a date before 1st October 2020 are not allowed. So invoices which are having, or credit notes or debit notes which are having the date after 1st October 2020 are allowed in the e-invoice system. So there is no limit of 24 hours or 2 days or 3 days for registration on the IRP portal. If I have committed mistake in the invoice and generated IRN for it, can I cancel the IRN and regenerate the IRN again for the same invoice? No. Here, once the mistake is identified, you will have to cancel the IRN. You also have to cancel the original invoice itself and regenerate a new invoice with a new number, and which needs to be registered. Unlike in e-Bill, in case you are e-Bill user, there is a facility where you can cancel the e-Bill within 24 hours, and for the same document you can regenerate a e-Bill. But that is not so in the e-invoice. Here, once there is a mistake found in the invoice, that has to be cancelled and new invoice has to be created, and that has to be registered. What are the time limits for cancelling the invoice, and how long the invoices are available at IRP for download? So within 24 hours of generation of the invoice, you can cancel your IRN. So beyond 24 hours, you will not be able to cancel the IRN. And to download the generated IRN and the signed invoice, you have to do it within next 2 days of generation of the IRN. Beyond two days, you will not be able to download the signed invoice and IRN from the IRP portal. Can the taxpayer generate IRN after e-Bill generation? No, ideally, the first e-invoice has to be generated and registered, and then along with the registration of invoice, you can generate the e-Bill, or subsequently, you can generate the e-Bill based on the IRN number. And on the same line, IRN has to be, if the IRN has to be cancelled, first e-Bill has to be cancelled and subsequently IRN has to be cancelled. If the e-Bill has to be generated for the invoice, but the transportation details are not available at the time of invoice generation, then how to generate the e-Bill? So here we have given multiple options. One thing is, if you have all the e-Bill details with you, you can generate the IRN, and you can also generate the e-Bill in a single request. So in case you don't have the transportation details, but you know that the e-Bill has to be generated for this invoice, then you can generate the IRN and part A slip of the e-Bill, and subsequently on the e-Bill number you can update the part B details and make it a valid e-Bill. And the other option is, you can just generate the IRN, and subsequently whenever you are moving the goods, at that time you can generate the e-Bill taking the IRN as a reference. So when you supply IRN as a reference, then all the part A details will be taken from the IRN itself, and whatever part B details you have submitted while generating the e-Bill, both together the e-Bill will be generated. When an IRN is cancelled, whether the associated e-Bill also gets automatically cancelled? No. So as I mentioned earlier, first e-Bill has to be cancelled and subsequently the IRN has to be cancelled. It is two-step process. And in case the e-way bill is already verified by the officer, then anyway e-way bill system will not allow you to cancel the e-way bill, and hence you will not be able to cancel the IRN as well. Do I need to print e-invoice as provided in the portal, or can I have my own format for invoice? We have only given it as a facility where you can print the invoice from the IRP portal, but ideally once you register your invoice, you will be getting back the signed data, signed invoice back. So using that, you can along with that, you will be given the signed QR code as well. So you can print your own invoice in your own format, but only thing is the QR code is mandatory to be printed on your invoice. Do I need to print QR code on the invoice? If so, what shall be the size and location on the invoice copy? While returning IRN, the IRP also is giving IRN number, acknowledgement number, date, etc. Whether these also have to be printed is the question. So the printing of the QR code on the invoice is mandatory, and which will be given to you in response when you are registering your invoice. So this has to be printed on the invoice. And location and size is not defined, but anybody should be able to scan the QR code from a QR code scanner, maybe through a mobile phone, and retrieve the data. So that is what has to be kept in mind while printing the QR code. And printing of IRN number, acknowledgement number, and date given by IRP are optional, and these details can be recorded in your system for any future reference purpose. Whether B2C invoices can be reported to IRP for generation of IRN? No. B2C invoices are not accepted for registration on the IRP. Only B2B invoices and export invoices are allowed for registration on the IRP. So there is another circular which is mandating printing of the QR code for the B2C invoices, which is not related to E-Invoice. That is an independent notification from the government for B2C invoices, and it has no relation with the E-Invoicing. Can e-commerce entities generate E-Invoice on behalf of the sellers on their Can e-commerce entities generate e-invoices on behalf of the sellers on their platforms? Yes, there is a facility where e-commerce operators who have registered themselves as TCS taxpayers, they can generate the invoices on behalf of the suppliers. There is a facility available in the schema as well as in the application where the e-commerce operators can generate the IRNs. Who has to generate reverse charge mechanism invoices? RCM related invoices have to be generated by the supplier himself and not by the recipient. So in case of B2B RCM invoices, if the supplier is notified to generate the IRN, there is a flag called reverse charge. So that flag has to be set yes, and the further details have to be entered. And for B2C, as it is, we are not accepting the B2C invoices on the IRP portal. In case of breakdown of internet connectivity in certain areas, will there be any relaxation for requirement to obtain IRN? This will be notified by the government as and when such situation arises. So in the current schema, there is no provision to report details of supplies not covered under GST. Example, a hotel wants to give single invoice for B2B supply, where the supply includes food and beverages, where food and beverages are liable and alcoholic beverages are outside GST. So in such cases, separate invoices have to be generated, one for the GST related and other for the non-GST related items. TCS of income tax is not part of the invoice schema. Is it not required to be displayed in the invoice? If so, how to pass these details? As of now, there is no provision in the schema to separately mention the income tax TCS. But this, as of now, for time being, this charge can be put into the other charges parameter. What is the maximum number of line items which can be reported in an invoice? So up to 1,000 items can be entered per invoice, which are being submitted for getting the IRN. So beyond that, if somebody is generating the invoices, the details can be shared to this mail ID support.eime.api@go.in, will let you know like what to do for the invoices which are having more than 1000 items. In case of credit note and debit note, is there any validation with respect to referred invoice number? That is the original invoice number. No, presently we are not verifying or validating the original invoice number whenever the credit note or debit note is getting registered on the IRP. How are the interstate or intrastate transactions identified? Here, based on the supplier state code and the state code provided in the place of supply, it is treated either as an intrastate or interstate transaction. On E-Invoice Portal, IRN generation are failing because of minor variations in calculation. What should be done? Initially, we had put stringent validations, and subsequently we have allowed some threshold for allowing minor calculation errors due to rounding off and other calculations. So these were some of the frequently asked questions which we try to cover here, and at the end again we will take up the questions which are put in the chat box. Those will be addressed. Thank you.
Just 2 minutes, Murali Krishna, just 2 minutes. A lot of requests have come from the taxpayers giving their email ID to share the PPT. Yes, please share your email ID here. What we are doing is basically we are sending all these PPT, user links and alerts to the registered taxpayer email IDs who are coming in the 20 to 50 crore brackets. Now, some people may be there who are supporting, or maybe the employees they might have given. Please share your email ID here. Those who have shared, you will get all the PPTs in 1 or 2 days, and also we'll give all the video links, whatever are there on the portal. You can go through that and understand the complete process. That is one thing I wanted to share. So those who are not given email ID, please share here. We'll send that PPT and links. And second point is, we have seen here 1024 audiences are attending this webinar, and it is also, there was a request that it should be increased. I saw in the chart, but because of some limitation, we are not able to increase it. But however, I would like to say that FKCCI is arranging in Karnataka on 24th one workshop on this e-invoicing. 24th afternoon it is there. Those who are not able to attend and understand, they can attend there. And also we are conducting one more webinar on 25th of this month only, that is the next week. Those who are not joined, they can join there. Just I thought I will share these things. And meantime, whatever your queries are there, you can put it in a chart. We'll just go through that and come back with the answers when the next presentation is over. Thank you. Murali Krishna, you can take over.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the very beautiful presentation on the e-invoice system by all your team members. And it's because of the overwhelming response, we are stretching our time ourselves, and I don't think we can take up an interactive session later. As you said in a chat box, what are the questions we already noted down, and we're going to answer all the relevant questions as a FAQ, and we're going to post to all the taxpayers who are requesting it. And also we'll send the PPT, even DPN sir also, and even Commissioner and Ranjan Jha ma'am also has requested. We're going to send all the PPT in a PDF format to all the taxpayers who have been enabled for the generation of invoice to their given email ID onto the portal. Okay. Now I request the CBAC Sabrina Cano, Superintendent, to give a brief note on recent changes in GST, and later on we can take up, if the time is there, any interactive session. Over to Sabrina Cano, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope I'm clear. I'll make the presentation very short, since a lot of participants are waiting to ask their queries. So basically, I'll be covering the changes which happened in GST from January 2022. The important ones being the first one being mandatory Aadhaar authentication. Now, this Aadhaar authentication in GST, which was introduced in January 2020, first took off only for the new applicants, new registrants. When they were applying for a new registration, they would have to authenticate their. Now, for years 2022, taxpayers are required their Aadhaar authentication when they have to carry out 3 functions. One is when they want to file an application for revocation of cancellation of registration, or if they want to file a refund application in RFD1, or if they want to claim a refund of the IGST paid on the goods which are exported out of India. So for these three activities, it is mandatorily required that your Aadhaar needs to be authenticated. Now, for those of you who are not, who have not done their Aadhaar authentication, you will be getting a pop-up on your dashboard. Every time you log in, the GST portal will give you a pop-up where you need to navigate to your profile. And in the profile, this is where this is the kind of screen that you get, where you click on the link, send Aadhaar authentication link. For privacy purposes, the link is always sent to the email of the person whose Aadhaar is going to be authenticated. The list of persons will be reflected in the screen. You have to select which person's Aadhaar you want to be authenticated and do the authentication of that Aadhaar. So this is how it works for the existing taxpayers. Now, going on to the next change, which is the input tax credit, we have a new section, new clause, which was introduced in section 16.2. And this new clause says that your ITC will be available only when the details of your invoice or the debit notes are uploaded by the supplier in the GSTR1. This was earlier not there. It's apart from the other 4 existing conditions, this new condition becomes applicable only from January 2022. Accordingly, your Rule 36(4), which initially had the provision for you to take credit of 5% over and above what is reflected in your GSTR 2A or 2B, that is no longer there. That has been substituted from January 22 to say that only the invoices and debit notes which are appearing in the GSTR 2A or 2B, only that will be allowed for taking ITC by the recipient. So these are the changes with regard to ITC. Going on to the other change is the e-commerce related changes. There has been addition of 2 new services which making the e-commerce operator liable to pay the tax. One is under passenger transportation, e-commerce operators will now also be liable to pay tax in case of transportation by an omnibus or any other motor vehicle. Earlier, it was only restricted to radio taxis and maxi cabs. So now this has also been brought into the same notification, and e-commerce operators will be liable to pay the tax. The other important one is the supply of restaurant services through e-commerce operators. Now, for that service also, e-commerce operators will be liable to pay the tax other than those restaurant services which are provided in specified premises. That is, specified premises means the ones where you have the restaurant service where the hotel tariff is more than 7,500 a day. Those are not liable for under this notification 17 of 2021. It's only those restaurant services which are lesser than that, where you do not have this tariff per day limit. They will be, the e-commerce operators will be liable to pay the tax. And how the tax is to be paid is already clarified in a circular which has been issued, circular number 167. The board has issued a circular to clarify the modalities for how the e-commerce operators will pay the tax. It has to be noted that the payment of tax for restaurant services supplied through e-com operators has to be mandatorily done only by cash and not by ITC. And the e-com operator will not be doing the TCS collection on such activity of the restaurant service supplied through them. And as far as reporting such supplies, the e-com operator will report these supplies under their outward supply in GSTR 3B and in table 4A or 7A of GSTR 1. Even for unregistered restaurants who are supplying through e-commerce operators, the e-com operator will have to pay the tax. So this is the clarifications which have been given in the circular. The next change is with regard to the scope of supply. The scope of supply has been amended by introduction of a new clause AA into section 7, which says that the activities or transactions of any person other than an individual to its members or constituents for cash or deferred payment or other consideration will be termed as a supply. So this brings in what was earlier present in para 7 of schedule 2 of the Act, is now brought into the main section 7 itself, and this amendment has been made retrospectively from the 1st of July. Now this there is also an explanation in this for this clause to say that the clubs or associations and the individual are both to be treated as separate persons, and any transactions between them are to be termed as a supply. So this was overriding the Supreme Court's decision in the Calcutta Club, where you have that principle of mutuality. Now with retrospectively from 2017, it is deemed as it is to be taken as a supply. The next change is with regard to section 129 has been substituted. A lot of changes have happened in 129. The provisions for detention and seizure of goods and vehicles, that has been delinked from the provisions of section 73 and 74. And section 129 now only applies to penalty. Earlier, even tax was being demanded under section 129, but that has now been removed. It is only penalty provisions which can be levied under in terms of 129. So the rates of penalty has gone up with this new amendment, where if the owner of the vehicle or the goods comes forward to pay the penalty, then in the case of taxable goods, the penalty is equal to 200% of the tax. But in the case of exempted goods, it is the least of either 2% of the value or 25,000. But in the case where owner does not come forward to pay the penalty, then you have in the case of taxable goods, it will be either the 50% of the value of the goods or 200% of the tax payable, whichever is higher. In the case of exempted goods, it remains the same. There is no change. So the other change is that earlier there was a provision for provisional release of goods and conveyance. That has been removed with this amendment. A specific time period has been given for the proper officer to issue a demand as well as pass an order. So which is 7 days. 7 days from the date of detention or seizure, a notice has to be issued. And within 7 days from the date of giving the reply by the party, an order has to be passed. And the determination of penalty under section 129 cannot be done without giving an opportunity for personal hearing. Now, in case once the order has been issued under the provisions of this section 129, the party is also allowed to go and appeal, but the condition is that for filing an appeal, mandatorily 25% of that penalty has to be paid as pre-deposit before filing an appeal. Now, even after 15 days of passing the order under 129, if the determined penalty is not paid, then the proper officer can proceed for disposal of the goods and conveyance. For this purpose, one new rule, that is Rule 144A, has been inserted in this with effect from January 22. This 144A prescribes a procedure for doing the disposal. Mainly, it is by way of auction, which can include even an e-auction. And for purpose of the auction, a form DRC 10 has to be issued, and specifying a last date wherein the bidders can make their bids, and that last date should not be earlier than 15 days from the date of DRC 10. Now, there has to be a pre-bid deposit which has to be made, and the successful bidder, the pre-bid deposit will get adjusted towards the dues that he pays. In the case of unsuccessful bidders, the pre-bid deposit will of course get refunded to them. Once the auction is done and there is a successful bidder, there will be he will be notified in form DRC 11 and asking him to pay the dues within 15 days. And once he makes the payment, the goods or the conveyance, the possession will be transferred to him and a certificate will be issued in DRC 12. So this is the procedure for disposal of the goods. The next change is with regard to section 7512. An explanation has been added to state that any difference in the liability which is declared in the GSTR 1 but not declared in GSTR 3B will be termed as a self-assessed tax, and the department can proceed for direct recovery of this difference. So with this, the department also realizes that there will be issues where the the mismatch between the GSTR 1 and 3B is not due to any malified intention, but some genuine errors do happen. Also, given the situation that taxpayers are can upload details in subsequent months, leading to mismatch in data. For all this purpose, there has been an instruction which is issued by the policy wing on the 7th of January, directing the officers that before taking up the recovery proceedings, an opportunity has to be given to the taxpayer to explain the difference. And if that explanation is satisfactory, then the proceedings get closed. But if the explanation is not satisfactory or there is no reply from coming from the taxpayer, then the proper officer is within his rights to proceed for recovery under Section 79. Now, coming to Section 83, the change is that earlier the provisional attachment, as a screen stop sharing. There.
We are not sharing, ma'am. Some issue with your this one.
Yeah, can you see?
We can see, ma'am.
Yeah, so the change in Section 83 is that prior to this, till December 2021, the attachment of any property or bank account could be done only of the taxable person. But from January 2022, Section 83 has been amended to provide that not only of the taxable person, but any other person who has been part of an offense under Section 122(1)(a). That is, if he is benefiting from any transaction where supply has happened without an invoice, or invoice has been raised but no supply has taken place of goods or services, or there has been a deliberate misuse of availment and utilization of ITC, or improper distribution of input tax credit. For these reasons, even other persons who are part of these transactions, who have derived benefits from these transactions, their property and bank accounts are also liable to be attached. So that is with effect from January 2022. For the purpose of this, Rule 159 has also been amended to provide that a notice under DRC 22 will be sent to such people whose property is being attached. Of course, the person whose property is being attached can put forth an objection in form DRC 22A, so to dispute the attachment. The other new changes on the portal, there are some functionalities which have been made available to the taxpayers. One important thing is the interest calculator on GSTR 3B. This has been brought in from January to provide the taxpayers with an easy mechanism where to determine the interest that is payable. The interest will be calculated based on the system will calculate it based on the liabilities declared by the taxpayer in his return, and it will get auto-populated in the next month's return, similar to your late fees. Now, for calculation of the interest, there is a new functionality introduced in your GSTR 3B, where you can report the liabilities of past period. That functionality is available once you make submit, in the sense make the payment on the GSTR 3B return. After doing that, just before you file the return, there is this functionality where you can indicate the past period liabilities. This is for purpose of calculation of interest. If you do not do this past period liability breakup, then the system will take it that the entire liability declared in the 3B for that month pertains to that period only, and accordingly the interest will get calculated. So this is the new calculator. The other functionality which is introduced is the search HSN code. This is again for benefit of taxpayers who want to search the HSN of the product but do not know the description of the HSN. So you can now search it by giving the trade name or the trade description of the product. This is also available both in pre-login as well as post-login under the user services tab of the GST portal. You can access this search HSN functionality. The GST portal has also implemented the change in Rule 59.6, which became effective from January 2022, that if you do not file the GSTR 1 of a particular month, the following 3B will not be able to be filed. Prior to this, it was if 2 months GSTR1 is not filed, then the 3B will not be allowed to be filed. So right now blocking is done for only 1 month. If 1 month GSTR1 is not filed, the 3B will of the month you will not be able to file it. So the next change is with regard to the, of course, e-invoicing. All of you are aware that now the threshold limit has been reduced to 20 crore, and this is the notification 1 of 2022. So with that, it's a very brief outline of the changes. I will hand over to moderator, Dr. Murali Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina Kano, for a brief overview on the recent changes, which is from 1/1/2022. And I think it was in a short time, you could able to make it out very neatly about this particular recent changes. And now before handing over for a valedictory, I think it's already 12:46. There are 10, we can take up.
Murali, audio is not there. Dr. Murali. Dr. Murali, audio is not there. Murali,
can you hear me now?
Now you are able to hear. Please go ahead, Murali.
Sir,
You can go ahead. Yeah.
say thank you for the overwhelming response given to this particular webinar on recent changes and also on the e-invoice system. And there are some few questions which can be answered still as time is there. Otherwise, we can over to the valedictory session. And before the valedictory session, I request DPN sir, who is still there attending the meeting, to give his brief overview on this particular whole webinar. Then we can move to the valedictory session. Sir, over to DPN sir. Sir was there.
Can I clarify some of the point? Meantime, Murali Krishna, you can check up with sir. Hello, Murali. Dr. Murali.
Hello. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಸರ್, but sir, can you hear me? Hello? Some technical issue is there. I think I can't hear from my system.
You are audible, sir.
Hello?
Sir, you are audible.
So I'll request our Additional Commissioner Padmaka Kulkarni to give a valedictory for the session. I think it is running out of time. We'll give to the Additional Commissioner, Mr. Padmaka Kulkarni, to give a valedictory finally.
Thank you, Sri Murali Krishna. At the foremost, on behalf of all the participants and organizers, I would like to thank Sri Nagendra Kumar sir for his inspirational thoughts. Though sir is a member CBIC New Delhi now, but we all know we have a very good coordination between Karnataka Commercial Tax Department Karnataka and CGST Karnataka. It was mainly because of the rapport we had with Sri Nagendra Kumar sir. It started with during the tenure of Sri Shrikar as Commissioner Commercial Tax, and it continued with Shikha Madam, and at present with Srimati Ranjana Jha Madam. Thank you very much, sir. I would also like to thank Srimati Ranjana Jha Madam, Principal Chief Commissioner, CGST Karnataka, for giving a keynote address to this webinar. I would like to thank Sri P.V. Bhatt, State Information Officer, NIC Karnataka, as my colleague Sri Murali Krishna told. Mr. Bhatt is a backbone to the CTD and all our E-initiatives. I also thank Srimati Sunita Bennur, Senior Technical Director, for giving a beautiful presentation on technical session. And I thank Sri Murali Krishna, Additional Commissioner, E-Governance and my batchmate. And I also thank Srimati Sabrina Cano, who was my batchmate in Central Excise, for organizing this session beautifully, and also Srimati Cano for giving a presentation on recent changes in GST. I thank our Commissioner, Srimati Shikha Madam, for encouraging us in organizing this webinar on E-Invoice system. Before concluding my vote of thanks, I thank all the participants for making this webinar a very grand success, because as my colleague Dr. Murali Krishna was telling, from 10 o'clock, the number of participants has remained more than 1,025, and now it is 1 o'clock. So thanks to one and all on behalf of Commercial Tax Department Karnataka and CGST Karnataka. Thank you, one and all.